Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of You're Not Ready for This. My name's Kevin. I'm here with my good friend Alan. Alan, how are you doing today?
How am I doing? Well, I'm kind of still a bit jaded about the weather.
Yeah, I hear you. It's been a little bit crazy for your part of the country.
Yeah, definitely the East Coast been seeing some nasty weather, especially the whole Florida region. As of the time of this recording, people may know the Hurricane Ian hit Florida pretty hard, and well, part of South Carolina moving up north. It's crazy what the weather can do, and people saying like, "Hey, the sea level has risen 9 inches. That might lead into something. Don't worry about it." And then you see the photos, and you see boats inland where they shouldn't be when you start
No,
seeing
yeah,
the.
I've seen some pictures of it. It's just it's just crazy. And you were just in Puerto Rico and avoided a hurricane while you were out there as well.
Funny enough, yeah, like I mentioned one or two podcasts ago, like I was visiting home finally after some time and catching up with friends and family, and it just so happens that the day that my flight was supposed to return was very close to Hurricane Fiona passing by and hitting the island. And I was in between, like, do I cancel my flight and stay, or just I just push it and go with it. And after talking with some friends and family, they kind of convinced me to, dude, don't stay. Like, if you have the option, like, fly and go back. I'm like, oh man, what should I
That's a
do?
tough that's a tough decision though too because you don't yeah how can you just you almost feel like you're just abandoning everybody.
It does feel like that. I feel pretty bad, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up leaving. But yeah, lo and behold, we went back, and Ian was behind me.
So basically for those that are listening, do not invite Alan over to your part of town because a hurricane will most likely follow.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing on that.
But yeah, no, that's crazy. And luckily for your sake, I guess Ian didn't hit your area too hard.
No, it was mostly like winds and some rain, but it's one of those things that after living so many years in Puerto Rico, it's sort of people during the 90s, while back I was growing back in Puerto Rico. During the 90s, we had a major hurricane called Hugo close to the 80s, the start of the 90s. I believe it
Okay.
was either 97 or 98. I believe it was 97 that hit Puerto Rico, and it was like the last major hurricane at that point in time. And after that, people kind of got used to the meteorologists making the forecast and kind of putting the fear in people that, hey, this phenomenal tropical storm or weather formation, it might develop and might be closing by. And after so many times that obviously the weather forecast is just that, like a forecast or an estimate, it's not like set in stone. And maybe the technology back in the day wasn't as refined as like nowadays. It just so happens that people got let down their guard
Yeah.
because when they make an announcement like this hurricane is gonna come, and people went to the supermarket and bought everything from the house and put the bars on their
Yeah. Yeah.
windows and all that, you know. And when George hit, I believe it was 98. I'm going from the top of my head here.
Sure.
In 98 was the first major hurricane that I was conscious enough to experience. And I remember my grandmother from my father's side, my father, my mother, even my dog were in the living room, kind of a deal. And the winds, like bellowing and blowing, and the rain coming through the windows. My father used to put like wood panels in front of the windows. Luckily, he did that because when we went out the next day after everything passed, everything was in shambles. Like you could see the trees and the leaf, everything like torn apart, and it was such a shocking view of me living in the rural area of Puerto Rico. It's like you see those photos of like a, well, just that, like a tropical island, like very green, very pretty.
Sure.
And now imagine like someone went with a lawnmower and basically blew all of the leaves from the trees and everything was
Right.
barren. That was the shocking of seeing that for the first time when I was little. And that kind of put the fear on people again, and people were starting to pay more attention to the weather forecast or any sort of phenomenon. I remember we were many, many, many months without electricity and water, and luckily we got water from the rain. We kind of set the mentality to be survivors and be always on the, not necessarily a doom prepper, but being on the mindset of, okay, I gotta be prepared somehow. Like, let me have some water stored or maybe some canned food. And even now, I'm here in the States on a zone that is quote unquote not hit as often, but I still got like my supplies and emergency rations and all that like available.
Sure. Well, it's better to, well, especially if you're in an area that is gonna something consistently like that happens, then why wouldn't you want to be prepared?
Lo and behold, they came Maria and Irma in the 2017, and that was like the last few hurricanes that I experienced back in Puerto Rico. And after those, quite literally, I moved to Arizona after Maria. Like, not only there were many things going on in the back of my mind at that point, to be quite honest with you, but it was like the pushing force, or like the drop that spilled the glass, like they say, made me
Right.
realize, let me maybe explore something else outside of here, because I never like lived somewhere else aside from Puerto Rico. And lo and behold, we're here in this journey going about, but going kind of back. Yeah, all this because of hurricanes. I was leaving behind, but in the back of my mind, also I didn't wanna kind of go through it again.
I don't blame you. That's definitely crazy. I guess I'm a little bit lucky in the fact that where I've lived in both New Jersey and Arizona, I haven't really had to deal too much with anything crazy as far as the weather. In back home in New Jersey, when I was growing up and mainly it was probably before I was getting ready to graduate high school. We were getting some pretty nasty ice storms and snowstorms, but again, it wasn't destructive like a hurricane or tornado or something to that effect. Obviously snow and ice can be, but not to that effect. It was more just, oh cool, school's closed and I gotta shovel the driveway kind of stuff.
That's the only thing that you're like, man, man. You know how naive a young mind can be. I'll be honest with you. When I was younger, when all these phenomena were going on, like, man, I hope that thing comes by so I don't have to go to school, dude. That you're very naive and immature when you're thinking that way, and it's like, oh, so I bet it was the same. Like, oh, I hope there's like 12 inches of snow so I don't have to go to school.
Well, yeah. It's funny because when I was real young, when I was, heck yeah, bring all that snow on. But when I was old enough to have to shovel that shit, then it started to change a little bit. 'Cause then it's like, oh man, now I gotta shovel. Now I gotta shovel this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, your priorities do change depending on your age and what's going on. So, but I'm glad to hear that your family and everybody that family, friends, etc. They all seem to be okay. So that's definitely good.
We were catching up a bit before the recording, and I was putting Kevin up to date, and was able to make sure that everyone was fine, especially my sister is back in Florida. I was kind of worried. We talked through text on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, Wednesday last week, as of this recording, of course. I was finally able to get a hold of her after Ian hit Florida.
That's good. That's good. That no damage to her home or anything.
Well, she lived in an apartment complex, sort of a deal.
Okay.
So yeah, she was safe at least. So
Good.
I really don't know. We're living in such sort of times that not only like major destructive nature forces are going on, like the same, you could say, as our political structures are in the same sense. And when I say that, like the whole deal going with Ukraine and Russia, for example, we're quite literally having a lot. Well, there are many wars that have been fought in many places, but that's the one that's basically in the forefront of the news right now, and how the whole situation is going down, like the whole menace of possible nukes being used by Russia and Ukraine trying to claim their sovereignty or remain dependent out of whatever is going on. It's I don't know what's your take on that, or at least on what you're listening and what's going on there.
So I'm pretty bad when it comes to keeping up on a lot of that stuff. I try to tune a lot of it out, maybe intentionally, but also non-intentionally. I follow a lot of other things, specifically sport. So I don't try. I try not to get too in depth when it comes to all the news and current event stuff that's going on. But
You don't want to see Kevin going deep.
you don't want to see him. No. I mean, I do and I don't. It's tough too because I try not to get too much into all the negativity because it just kind of wears you down. So especially when there's stuff that's not under your control, makes it more difficult. But you know, the whole stuff with that's been going on out over there with Russia and Ukraine. I'll tell you right now, the thought of using nuclear weapons scares the hell out of me. Any country that uses them, yeah, it's. I mean, it's just too dangerous at this point. With we've already seen the destructive nature that they're capable of. Well, obviously with Nagasaki and Hiroshima back when the United States used them in the 40s, but today's day and age, I mean, it's scary, man, because they could. It's almost like if it gets started, is it gonna destroy the entire planet? It's not hyperbole, but because it could literally destroy the entire planet, and that's where it's like, I don't know, man.
Well, those were the ones that historically have marked like the whole era of like the whole nuclear deterrent, or hey, I got a bigger weapon than you, or
Yeah,
I'm gonna use the weapons if you don't comply, and kind of the whole having missiles or weapons aimed at each other, even though everyone's shaking hands and saying like everything's fine. Obviously, there's a lot of things that always are on the verge of someone taking a flight to a contested area, not saying any names in particular, but going to a particular area that is claimed to be territory of another superpower, and because it's in their interest, either financially, politically, or whatever you want to call it.
yeah.
And that itself can be very polarizing. To the fact, if I'm not mistaken, the Tsar bomb is the strongest like weapon that we've seen created as of this age, if I'm not mistaken, no?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look that one up, but you might be right on that.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's of Russian make. If I'm not mistaken,
Is what? Is what?
if a Russian make.
Oh, okay.
Just thinking, like, but I hope that it doesn't come to that. But
I mean, at the time the United States used them, I mean, they knew what those things were capable of, but I don't think they really knew because it was only tested. I don't think they really knew how much destruction, after effects, lingering effects from it. And like you said, now there's multiple types. There's bigger and much more stronger weapons out there. I don't know. It's disgusting, honestly.
and funny enough, people like playing war games and all that whatnot. And I know that it's so very off the rails, but it's funny how when it's on real life, people dislike it to a passion. Heck, you can see people running away from Russia. Like there's been an estimate of close to $250,000 of people, men particularly, fleeing the country because there was an enforcement on forced recruitment, like enlisting,
Right.
and they were getting everyone from any age, like kind of getting enrolled because they needed more men for the effort, and
Mm.
people are protesting because of it, and close to almost 3,000 people were sent to jail because of the protest. So people are, as time goes by, people become more so not of the mindset of being at war or fighting, but at the same time, people do enjoy the the bellic side of things, even if through emulation. I'm not saying that one thing leads to another because it has been proven video games doesn't have anything to do with
Oh yeah.
sort of the violence of people. If someone's gonna be violent, it can be the most violent person without even having been exposed to a game. Hey, they can be exposed to the news or be exposed to a book or their social cycle. A whole lot of things can go into that. But funny enough, you see things like was it which game like Call of War 2,
Uh,
Modern
Call of
Warfare?
Duty.
Yeah, Call of Duty, I believe.
Yeah.
The one of the games have like a bomb scenario going on.
Yeah.
Do you remember which one was it?
There was, well, as far as like a nuclear.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, that was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, if I remember correctly. Not the new one that's coming out. The one that was on old PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Xbox 360. Modern Warfare 2, if I remember correctly.
So people sort of have I don't know whether it's the beauty of the human mind or the darkest part of it, how they can come up with the most sinister scenarios. Just thinking about them and portraying them, how deep that can go. I don't know if you've heard of this thing called like the Backrooms.
Backrooms. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's this guy. If I'm not mistaken, his name is Kane Pixel. I might be butchering the name. That kind of went through the motion because he was very fond of this game Portal 1 and 2.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm
And
familiar with those games. They were pretty good.
yeah, from going from the concept of portals, he started with the whole idea of making like this scenario of liminal spaces or spaces that sort of evoke nostalgia out of your cognition. Oh, so many years ago, I believe it was Fortune of all places that people started talking about transitional spaces and started posting photos, and he kind of grabbed that concept and ran with it.
Okay.
And he started releasing like videos of people, someone holding like a found footage sort of a deal, of someone
Yeah.
walking through one of these rooms, and they were like never ending because you will turn like a corner and you would keep seeing the same sort of a room, and it was really nowhere, and the lighting, and some places was like pitch black and others were more illuminated, and obviously you would avoid the pitch black places, but usually you needed to go through the pitch black places to be able to quote unquote make any progress.
Okay. Now, how big were these rooms?
Apparently they're infinite, and the thing is that
But
how
but are we talking computer generated or is this like a physical room?
no, obviously when you go behind the scenes, it's something that is created, generated, on a computer. But
Okay.
but
Okay.
but the thing is, people like to explore obviously the darkest side of of what the human mind can come with, and obviously there was this whole thing about like you being on reality and just walking by and falling into one of these rooms and trying to escape from those rooms kind of a situation. So even though the rooms will keep going on and on and on, it's just the sense of you not being on a confined place and not being able to get out situation, even
Right.
though you keep walking and walking. It's like you were in the middle of the desert stranded in the middle of the sea. That same sensation, but on an enclosed space that keeps changing forms and ways about it. And from there, there's a whole iceberg of people going down the path of there are multiple levels to the rooms. Like they were like different layers, Dante's Inferno sort of a deals. That there
Okay.
are multiple layers. If you go to layer 2, you might find some entities that may be friendly and maybe others that are not so friendly, sort of a deal. And I don't know that if sort of going on a super tangent, but it's just that I've been exposed to that by some friends that there was actually a game on Steam regarding that you yourself can play it for free. Like you don't have to
Okay.
pay for it. And you kind of have that same sensation of you walking by those rooms and whatever. When you start going of how someone came through it and how a whole community have come together to put back into sort of what they're coming with ideas of how the human mind can work and put everything together is kind of a frightening. And I don't know, man. It's just that I've been going down that rabbit hole recently. I don't know if you've done anything uh, like not so maybe what would be the word going down something so creepy. I guess it's the only word that comes to mind.
Yeah, no, no, it totally makes sense. And yeah, I honestly I have really haven't, but it's I like the horror genre and I like some of that stuff. So it does sound kind of interesting to me. I did want to ask you though, because I know, and I don't know if you were able to get the opportunity to, but I remember you had mentioned that you had an opportunity that when you were back in Puerto Rico, you were going to try one of them escape rooms out, and I wanted to find out
Oh
if you did.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
did.
I did, and
I need to hear this story.
god damn man, the
Because when you were explaining that situation, it kind of reminded me of the escape room
I
kind of
had I
scenario.
hadn't put in on one together to be honest with you that why I'm going down this rabbit hole, but I guess I did the escape room first, and now I'm going this whole rabbit hole with the bathrooms now. So how this all started, it was I play D&D, like Dungeons and Dragons, multiple days on the week with different groups. One of the groups that I play D&D with, most of them are back in Puerto Rico. So we decided to do like a hangout when I went back home, and part of the hangout was going to one of these escape rooms. Basically, you leave like your belongings on a locker, like your phone, keys, and whatever, obviously, so you don't
Yeah.
have tools to help you out
Yeah.
through
Now,
the.
before you get into it, did you? So obviously, you know these people through D&D. Did you only know them from D&D, or was this the first time you actually met them in real life?
half half
Not
half of them I them for a long time, and half of them I just met through D&D.
gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah, quite early because we're a group of five. So two a friend of mine since high school. That is the DM for that Dungeons and Dragons session campaign,
Yeah.
and his girlfriend, and then another couple were the other ones that were with us are part of
Okay.
that group. So we went.
Only reason is because I'm thinking that your mindset or your interactions probably would change depending on whether it was people that you knew for a long time versus people you just met in a situation like that.
Looking at it from the outside and not the situation itself, it comes down to, yeah, you could say that some people will have more teamwork by being exposed to each other and being like-minded, like being able to follow through on an idea because you've been exposed to working with someone for so long. The same can be said when you're working on a professional space.
Hmm.
Like it's very most likely you prefer to work with someone that you're accustomed with or you have a flow sort of a deal.
Right.
So I guess the same could be said. As of the experience itself, I could say that it didn't impact that much because we've been playing already D&D for a year most
True.
about.
True.
So
Yeah.
we kind of have been developing that bond of working together with solving problems within the game itself. That helped a bit for the experience, but as of the puzzle itself, we selected a escape room that was in the category. There are like 5 stars of difficulty. We selected the one with 4 stars, so it's not the
Okay.
most difficult one, but it's not like the medium difficulty sort of a deal.
Sure.
The lady kind of explained the rules and what you needed to look for. We had like 2 hints that we could add for through the walkie-talkie to put together. And I gotta say, with enough time, we might have gotten it. We were not able to escape the room, but with only 45 minutes, and you watching the clock and you trying to go through the room and getting the puzzle together and the hints, it put the pressure on you to put in the things together. Like the first puzzle was something related with some candles that needed to be blown in a particular order. But before that, you needed to find the pieces to a poem that when you read it, it sort of gives you the hint to blow the candles. But while you were doing that, you were also exposed to some other things in the room that you yourself are not sure whether those are part of the clues or you gotta use them or no. So we spent like the first 15 minutes on figuring out how to blow the candles. After we blow the candles, a door opens and we go to another place and we find another hint. And that hint had something akin to like a door puzzle with numbers, and we needed to look at some flags that had colors. And you moving the puzzle pieces gives you different numbers. And I really got mad at that point because when we were trying to figure out the numbers for the door, you know how you see colors and you see for some people like, oh, that's blue. No, that's actually green. No, that's turquoise or something. And it's like, oh man, that's not white. That's black. That's gray. No, that's beige. You know, so that part of the puzzle, we needed to put the colors together and we were not seeing the colors properly, and that took most of the remaining time for the puzzle. So with only like 10 minutes left, we finally opened the second door, and the person that was surveying us for the escape room kind of gave us extra minutes, but I believe she just gave us the extra time because we were the last group for the day. We went pretty late into the night, and basically ended up being she just getting ready to leave and close shop. And that was the extra time that she gave us. And man, we got stuck in the last puzzle. That was something with a gyrating clockwork and some numerical values that you needed to enter in a cylinder that gave you a key to open a safe. Yeah, it was interesting, but the time limit really put the pressure on you to be able to complete the puzzle and put it together. And it came to the point that we were like all on top of the situation, and I believe people needed to look for different things at the same time to be able to put it back together. Then it was interesting. Would I do it again? Yes, I would do it again. But man, I would recommend it if you had the chance to do an escape room eventually.
Yeah, and I could see that would be something I would get mad at. I could definitely see me getting mad at being in that kind of situation, especially if it's one of those where sometimes they can't make these puzzles, and it doesn't sound like they did, but it's like the puzzle has to be solvable, not like something that you would just get by happenstance or whatnot. But it reminds me of that game that we played that we never did finish.
We are here.
We are here.
Yeah, we are here.
Yeah, but it sounds very similar to that.
We are here. We were here.
Yeah,
because I think we were here too. It's another one. It's within those family of games.
Yeah, but that was the one where it was a co-op, right? And we had to communicate with each other and try to figure out the stuff like that. And I mean, sometimes it's just like, okay, this is, especially when you get a time limit involved, it's like, come on, man. I just want to kick the door open. Okay, hell with the puzzle. I'm kicking the door open. But but it does sound kind of fun too.
Yeah, it's funny because obviously we've known each other for a while now, but obviously we keep putting the pieces together of each other, I guess, or on our taste. I can see why you don't like turn-based RPGs or that sort of thing, because you just want to get in there, like, do it now, do it.
I do. I mean, even when when I'm playing first-person shooters or something like that, and when I used to play online, I was pretty much I'm rushing right in and going for it. So to usually not too great results, but you know that there are certain turn-based shooters or turn-based RPGs that I have played and I do enjoy. But yeah, for the most part, I like to keep things moving.
Well, that's funny. Which one have you played?
So the ones that I played that I really enjoyed, really the only ones that I played are the Xeno Gears and then Xeno Saga 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, gotcha.
Really, really enjoyed those. But for whatever reason, I never got into any of the other turn-based RPG games. I never got into any of the Final Fantasies, and actually I haven't even played any of the Xenoblade games, which I probably should because I've heard those are very good as well. But one of the things I really enjoyed about the original Xenogears was it was turn-based, but you could learn moves while you were doing the turn-based, so you could enhance your moves because they had like a sequence of buttons that you can hit to do like a certain special move during your turn. I thought that was really clever. It was pretty cool, and you can upgrade and learn new moves. So it wasn't just like attack, defend, attack. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty good. And one thing I don't like about them is I hate roaming around, and when I'm trying to roam around, it would just keep popping up with fights. That kind of gets on my nerves sometimes.
The random encounters.
The random encounters kind of annoys me. If it's done well, then I don't mind it as much. But sometimes it's like, okay, enough.
If a story was rather good, would that push you to, or that would not be something to factor in?
No, the story. If the story is good, it would push me. Yeah, no doubt. The better the story, the more engaged I'm going to be, and the more I'll put up with. Yeah. So if it's a throwaway story, then I'll I don't have a problem just kind of throwing it away. But yeah, if I'm engaged, then yeah, I'll keep coming back.
Obviously, if and it's not the same, I guess, but the series of Fire Emblem games.
Okay.
If you heard of them, most likely, even if through Smash, they're like tactical turn-based RPGs, and I really like that sort of scenario. Recently, I've been kind of getting the fix, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
With a game that I got on Steam on a deal. It was like $10 or something like that. I was like, might as well try it out. That had very positive reviews. It's like a Symphony of War. And it's that sort of a theme that you go like a leader and you make like a squadron with units, and obviously you fight other squadrons moving through the map, sort of a deal, and it's turn-based. But you gotta be strategizing that if you move a unit here, would that make the enemy move here, and so on and so forth. So you cannot play that sort of a put me in there kind of a deal. I'm rushing in. For the people that know Fire Emblem and play the last one, Tree Houses, there are a particular character that says that. Caspar, really gets me. Like, each time that you selected that character, it was very hype. I'm like, yeah, put me in the middle. I'm going to fight. Put me in there. Sort of a deal. But yeah, I can see why it can be off-putting to some people having to wait. I remember when I was back in college that I used my time to work, study and work at the same time. The person that was my supervisor while fixing computers there, we obviously used to talk from time to time while we were waiting for the tickets to come in.
Yeah.
Oh, the good days. So we were talking about that, how he had like his brother-in-law. He was playing video games and he saw like a character make a super move that punched the other guy, and the guy went to the moon and back and hit for a ton of damage, and he was looking at him playing the game and he was like, wait, but why don't you keep attacking? And he's like, no, his turn now. I was like, but dude, you made like a super move that this punched the guy out of the stratosphere and came back with entry velocity and the guy's still alive. Nah, that's not my kind of game.
Yep.
I guess that's more so from the unbelievable nature of the fantasy and all that. But I can see that. Something that he used to play, and I don't know if you're familiar with this series, Legacy of Kain.
Yeah, I've heard of the Legacy of Kain.
He used to play like the Soul Reaver deal. I think he even had like a figure. Man, I forgot the name of the other character that was not Kane, the vampire, but the other one that had like the bandana.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Man,
Yeah, I don't know his
it's
name.
escaping me right now. But I remember he was that sort of action game, or he even played, I believe, Blood Rain.
Yeah, yeah. That was the one with the female lead, right?
Yeah, it was something akin with the blades and all moving around.
Yeah. Wasn't she like a vampire or something?
I believe she was a vampire.
Yeah, okay. I thought so.
Yeah. Have you played any of those games or
No,
back in
no,
the day?
I actually haven't, but I know which ones you're talking about, but no, I haven't played any of those. So you mentioned you were playing some new stuff. What else have you been playing?
Well, I finally put Sekiro down because I got to the point of
Now you beat that 450 times already, right?
no, not as many times as Elden Ring.
Okay, okay.
I only beat it three times. I was going to the fourth ending, but I wanted to. I'm the kind of guy that if there's achievement, I'm gonna try to get all achievements, sort of a deal. And
Yep.
I only needed three achievements to complete the game, but one of the achievements was like farming to get
Mm,
all the skills, to get all the abilities and weapon arts and all that. And kind of took a break from it because I quite literally beat the game three times in a row without stopping. So yeah, I was starting to get a bit burnout out of it. But yeah,
man, I don't know. That's something I'd never done.
being so hyped with an experience and coming back and doing it again and again and again.
Not right away.
I don't
If I
know.
finish the game, just to turn around and start it over again, I don't. I always like to do something different.
It depends on the game, man, because when you get a feeling for it, it's like, oh, I got kind of the skill now to go through it. If I put it down, I have to kind of pick up the through the motions again and kind of relearn it a
Now,
different time.
I don't know that game, but if it has it or not. But in general, if you really enjoy a game and you when you turn around and want to play it again, do you do New Game Plus?
I've done both. I've done New Game Plus, and I've done like a new different file.
Okay.
And that game in
Yeah.
particular has New Game Plus in the sense that things become a bit harder.
Okay.
If you want, but obviously you got the option not to be so. But by
But do you keep all your stuff?
yeah, you keep all your stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, you can start from the beginning. You might need to unlock some things, but they're pretty close to the beginning to unlock. So
Yeah.
you pretty much start the game with all the weapons and abilities and all that.
They almost have to make it more difficult if you start with all your equipment from the previous game because otherwise you just walk right through it pretty much.
It doesn't matter. The same fights are gonna get you by surprise. Even though you already know the fights, there are a few of them that I kind of hate, and I just run past them. And there's even an enemy. I guess spoilers or whatever.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if you're gonna play the game eventually.
Don't worry about spoilers.
Yeah, but
I'm good.
there's in Sekiro there's like a lady on a section of the game that is like a village that is by a river or a lake. But literally she's kind of a ghost sort of a lady that she's playing a musical instrument when you talk to her the first time. She's
Okay.
weeping because apparently her loved one is missing or they're trying to get back. But if you keep interacting with them, it comes to the point that they start attacking you
Of course.
because they're deranged to that point. I mean, it's usually the whole scenario of the dead envying the living.
Right.
So the fight is hard because of the emotions that you gotta go through. At least the first time of learning the encounter and fighting her. I beat her on the first time, but it was a lengthy battle because of the having to parry and looking for her windows to be able to attack, and because she's a ghost, she disappears while you're attacking. So it's hard to kind
Gotcha.
of recapture and start working on breaking her posture. That is the whole mechanic of the game, like you breaking the posture through the sword fighting and parrying and dodging and all of that.
Yeah.
And the multiple times that I gone through that fight, she's quite literally just standing on the side, like you don't even have to talk to her. And the first time that I was running past that section of the game, it was, you know what, I'm not gonna fight you. And she started talking. You can see like, "Hey, you're ignoring me!" And she started running after you. I'm like, "What the
Oh boy.
hell? What the hell? I didn't know this happened." Because obviously, the first time you're interacting with the world, the wonder and amazement. But
Well,
they
yeah, if you don't know, you're going to want to try to interact with everything possible.
yeah, so they made the game so in mind that you might play the game again and you might face different things on new playthroughs.
Sure.
Things such as that. I'm like, man, these guys really thought of everything. Like,
That's cool though.
there's even conversations that you have with different characters if you give them sake.
Oh, okay.
And you get different information from different characters at different given times, depending on the sake that you give them, because there are different types of sake that you can acquire through the game. Listening to these conversations, sitting down and listening to them talk while they're drinking, you start putting the pieces together from previous playthroughs, and it's like, oh, I'm like, the man,
Interesting.
they thought of everything.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I've been going through playing The Last of Us Part 1, the remake on the PlayStation 5, and I gotta say it's great.
The one that is $70.
It's $70. Yeah, it's $70. It's a full price PS5 game. I know a lot of people were upset about that because it's a remake, but it is just that. It is a full remake. One thing though that they did that I like, it is a one for one remake. They didn't take liberties and change things, or oh well, now we can do this and we'll make it different. No, it's a one to one remake with the upgraded graphical power of the PS5, and they don't all the stuff that they don't have any. The cutscenes are all in game, not pre-rendered like they were previously, and yeah, it's just man, oh man, and they didn't redo all the voice acting. They kept everything exactly the same as it was. So being my favorite game of all time, it really is great for me because it's like a kind of like a new experience, but it's still the same experience, and just replaying it again it's just it's been great so far. I haven't finished it yet, so I'm just kind of taking my time going through. Obviously, I know everything that's happened, but yeah, it's been really enjoyable so far. They really did a nice job on the remake as far as I'm concerned. Could it have been cheaper? Probably. Should it have been cheaper? Probably, but it's not. I don't mind supporting Naughty Dog. They're a great developer, and again, it being my favorite game of all time, I have no problem uh, shelling out some extra. But I mean, I bought it on PS3, I bought it on PS5, 4, and then again now on PS5. So, uh,
And when
you
they
know,
release it on PS6, on PX7, on PX,
we'll buy it every generation. We'll
if
buy it again.
that's the only game that you play more than twice.
No, more than twice, probably, maybe,
Yeah, because we were just talking.
maybe.
If you were talking about that, like me, for example, me playing Sekiro 3 times. Well, technically 4 times in a row from the beginning.
Yeah,
But obviously, I did it on a row, not waiting for a whole new console to come out to buy it and play it.
yeah.
But what really keeps you coming back to that game?
And I've replayed a bunch of games. But when you said replayed more than twice, that's probably accurate. I'm sure there's other games I played more than two times. But Last of Us definitely I played more than two times. But yeah, I've replayed a lot of games and I will replay games, but I don't necessarily continue to replay them over and over again. So I, it's tough. I don't know what really brings. I think what really brings me back to the game is just how really well developed the story is. The story is exceptional. The characters are exceptional, and it's Naughty Dog. I really enjoy their games quite a bit. I don't know if you've played Naughty Dog games before, right? You played the Uncharted series.
Remind me, what is their game catalog? Because I'm the sort of person that I stayed away from a particular set of games, not because they're bad,
Yep.
and not to be the most hipster sort of a guy, because I played a lot of mainstream games. But all the Uncharted, the recent Tomb Raiders,
Yeah.
The Last of Us, like I stay kind of on purpose away from them.
Okay.
I don't know, man.
There.
I really don't have to tell you like a solid reason to why. Aside
Yeah.
from that, me looking from the outside, I know that from the inside, it's the same for you saying like, oh, all the turn-based games are the same. If me, like all those games feel the same from the outside.
Right. No, no, I get it. I definitely get it, and it's probably tough to explain from perspective when, especially when you look at it from the outside. And I know you mentioned Tomb Raider, so you can kind of. It's funny because Uncharted was kind of like a not a ripoff, but a spiritual successor to the
Mm-hmm.
original Tomb Raider, and the new Tomb Raider is a spirit is
To
basically
Uncharted,
like a to Uncharted, yeah, because
they keep upping one another.
yeah, the refinements, but still, there is something special. There's something unique about the Naughty Dog games that no other developer. Well, I don't want to say no other developer, but some of the other developers really haven't been able to grasp. It's just the pure amount of quality. No, first of all, their graphical engine is second to none. It's amazing. Second of all, just they really pay attention to very small details, similar to like you mentioned with Sekiro with the multiple conversations that you can have on different playthroughs. That's very similar with Naughty Dog. There's interactions that you can have with characters that are going to be played out differently, depending on your playthrough. They're going to you can choose to interact with them or not, and then just little details. It feels very real. It feels very real. Their gameplay, some people now they've tightened up their gameplay. I have no problem with their gameplay. Probably Last of Us Two is probably one of their best ones that they've done. Their controls are super tight, really good third-person shooter. But yeah, it's tough to explain without really sitting down and experiencing the games. They're definitely different, and they're not. Uncharted is more so action paced than say Last of Us. Last of Us is more of a slower type, game as far as like it's not just one action scene after another action scene after. There's a lot of different things going on, and there's a lot of times you don't necessarily have to be sneaky or have to do stealth, but it is probably in your best interest to be stealthy in certain areas where as in some of these other games you can kind of just rush right in and go right to town.
Gun
um,
blazing.
you can, yeah, I mean, and you kind of can but you really can't. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's a stealth game either, so yeah, there it is for me. It's just the quality of their games. They're they're second to none, in my opinion. They just have a certain feel, a certain charm, a certain whatever word you want to use to them. But they really they did the original Crash Bandicoot, and then they did a game. I think they did some games before that, but they kind of really started to hit their stride with the first Uncharted game on PS3. That's really where they really kicked in as far as this type of game. And then they've done obviously three Uncharted's and two Last of Us, a Last of Us remaster, and then now the remake. So, but yeah, they're all they're all really good. But it's well, I mean. they're making the Last of Us series on HBO, which and usually I'm not too
into series.
interested. Yeah, in the series as much, especially when they're based off video games. But because I love the game so much and I love the story so much, and Neil Druckmann, who's the director, he's involved in the series, so it doesn't look like they're going to mess it up. It looks like it's going to be a very good quality show. I'm really excited to check it out. I'm really looking forward to it. But
I did see
yeah, it's
the main actor Pascal, I believe.
yeah, Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal. He's gonna be the guy from the game that I
Hmm.
don't know the name.
Joel, yes,
Joe. Okay, so yeah, I thought that he was gonna be the main man. So
yep.
funny enough, I might end up seeing the series before I play the game.
Man, oh man, you know what? And all I can say. So the series, the it's supposed to. I guess the first season is supposed to encompass the entirety of the first game. So it's supposed to follow the storyline of the first game. I don't know. It's tough to say because obviously the show isn't out yet. But if you ask me, I would say definitely play the game before you watch the show. Only for the fact of there's could be stuff that happens in the show that might I don't
Spoiler.
want to say
Hmm.
spoil or ruin the experience in the game because there's a lot of stuff that happens in the game that's really interesting. It's really so there's some shocking stuff and
And I
it's
know
just
and I know that I should because there's a lot of people that have recommended, aside from you, that a lot of
yeah
people have recommended the game. But
yeah
it's the sort of thing that if man, I don't even know how to explain it because if don't feel it at the time, like, hey, I might feel like playing something that is mech wise, like, hey, say something
sure
like
sure
Gundam or something like that, or Front Mission or Armor Core. Like, oh yeah, I'm into that Thor game. If I'm feeling like playing a real time strategy, oh yeah, I'm gonna most likely play something like that. Oh, I want to play something like God of War or Devil May Cry, I'll play something like that. It's just that I haven't come to that cycle of me trying to try some of those games, and
yeah
each time that I consider it, it's not in my purview, and I feel like I'm gonna be forcing myself, and I'm forcing myself to do something. I'm not gonna enjoy it wholeheartedly.
no doubt. And well, one of the things with The Last of Us, though, is the prologue of the game really does grip you from a storyline perspective. So it kind of just, it kind of you really like, oh wow, I really want to see what's going to happen next. But it's such a different kind of game because you can kind of correlate maybe Uncharted to like more on a strict first person or a third person shooter genre. It's not Gears of War, but it's probably more similar to Gears of War than anything else. And as far as um, run and gun shooting, cover system, there's a lot of climbing aspects as well, but it's not. It's a very simple system, but it's very action based. The Last of Us is not anything I could really categorize. It's not really an action based game. It's not a stealth game. It's really all I can say is it's a very story driven third person shoot. It's still a third person shooter at heart, but it's it's very tough to explain.
There are
But
sections that you gotta defend yourself, and obviously the means to defending yourself is through obviously first person shooter, the third person shooter. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
so
and it's again you can people it's just another zombie game. Yeah, kind of not. It is and it isn't. So that's one of the unique things about it. It's a lot of different things, but in reality, it really comes down to how well they did the story, and then it has obviously the Naughty Dog touch as far as the quality of the game itself is just phenomenal. So yeah, I can't recommend it
you
more, but
you know it's funny, and this is whole being transparent, being lazy. I'm gonna wait for you to see the series, and after you
ooh,
see the series, I'm gonna ask you: is it worth me seeing the series if the thing that you kind of keep hammering on upon is the story? If I just need to enjoy the story, should I just watch the series or should I actually play the game?
no, I played the game.
I mean, yeah, you're gonna say it regardless.
I
But
will.
man, if I'm not gonna lie. It's just I'm feel like I'm not feeling it. Not yet. I'm not yet.
Well, and there might be a time that you come across it and you're like, you know what, maybe I will give it a shot. And yeah, I definitely recommend. And don't forget that they have the remastered edition on PS4, which is excellent.
Mm.
So um,
I might
I'm
consider.
sure it's,
Do they have it
sure
for,
it's
for
very cheap.
Do they have it for PC? Because I guess we're going to this conversation before how I'm feeling about the whole
Yep,
consoles deal.
yep,
I see how each passing generation, like you got the PS3, the PS4, PS5, the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, and the Xbox. I guess like what's the name of the last Xbox?
Series X. Microsoft is pretty shitty when it comes to naming their consoles.
Or any of these companies calling the sequel the same as the first one or whatever. That man, I feel like the amount of games that I got for PS1, PS2, PS3 that I have no way to play right now, or even if I wanted to play them, the service is no longer available or very cumbersome to get to unless obviously you have the console and the physical copy and everything of the. I feel like not buying any more consoles
Sure.
because with time on PC you can get most of the games as obviously the console exclusive. No matter the computer that you have, obviously you have to invest in a computer that is decent to run a game.
Right.
Um, it feels like I can right now for in Steam, for example, games that I haven't played in say over a decade, I can just play them again. And me being the kind of a person that enjoys kind of replaying games quite often,
Sure.
feels that it's more attuned to my experience because just of that. If it was the exclusives, yeah, man, I would be missing out on the Spider-Mans or the God of War or whatever, but even those are coming to PC. And now you got something like the Game Pass that lets you try games from the Xbox catalog on PC, and it's like, well, why would I buy an Xbox? you know?
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. And unfortunately, it's not available on PC yet, but the remake is coming to PC. So
Okay, yeah, I might definitely see it when it's available on PC. I might go and give it a swing. But I guess that I would allude to this now that we're talking about like series and games. I recently watched the Cyberpunk Edgerunners series on Netflix by
okay.
Studio Trigger. I'm a big fan of Studio Trigger to start
Well,
off.
Studio Trigger is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, so I gave it a watch, even though there was the whole commotion going behind the release of Cyberpunk almost 2 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And man, oh man, that series hit up so many spots that I was even considering buying the game. Obviously, I'm waiting the game to come in special because I'm not willing to pay the $60 right now.
Right.
but
Right.
but I'm putting on my purview just because of the series. So I don't know because they're not the same sort of a series. But if I, for example, watch the Last of Us series, that might get me into playing the game. But obviously, it's not the same sort of a game or media, I guess.
Yeah.
But man,
Now,
I would definitely say sorry to cut you off. I would definitely say if you like Studio Trigger, I would say give it a watch if you got the time. It's not a very
yeah.
long series.
Okay.
Like it's like only 25 minutes and an episode is like only 10 episodes, so you can
Okay.
either binge it or watch an episode a day or something like that.
Now, my question is, and this is probably more from the way I tend to, consume my content is and this will be why I will say you have to play the Last of Us game before watching a series, and that's because the series is supposed to be obviously it's not going to be a one for one remake of the game, but it's supposed to carry the same storyline. It's the same exact characters, and it's supposed to be the same storyline from the first game. So my question with the Cyberpunk Edgerunners is this just a anime that's based in the Cyberpunk 2077
Universe, if base,
universe,
if base, yeah.
or is this an actual? Basically, if I'm am I watching the game that I'm going to be playing?
No, that's the thing
Okay,
because you're in Night City. uh,
okay,
the series obviously got a lot of jabs at the game. Obviously, the game is based actually out of a tabletop game that was developed also many years ago. I really don't have the name of the who made the game, the tabletop game or the novels and all off the top of my head, but I know that it's based out of that CD Projekt Red signed to make the game, and the series
right,
is based on the game because there are allusion to spots on the city that if you play the game you might see, but you don't need to either play the game or see the series to
yeah,
complement
yeah,
one another. So they're independent story from one another. So you can see the series and just leave it at that. Obviously,
yeah,
they're gonna be mentioning maybe some names that if you either have read the novels or play the game or play the tabletop game, you might that and might get a different experience. But me, being very new to this whole cyberpunk universe and genre and all that, so the series because it was Studio Trigger, and now it got me hooked to actually trying the game. And
yeah. I see. That's interesting.
yeah, and man, oh man, the feels. I would definitely, even if you don't play the game, just give it a watch. And
Well, I
they
like the genre, so
yeah, I have a like a love hate relationship with the whole like dystopian universe that those series like Ghost in the Shell or uh,
yeah,
obviously Cyberpunk kind of evoke like being on a or Warhammer is another one that I was very deep a few months ago. Not that I'm not that deep now. Kind of keep on it like Warhammer 40k. Is this sort of expression of humanity on a very chaotic times and how they interact with one another, and obviously this kind of a permeating on the essence of humanity and how everyone is so fanatized with either preserving humanity or surrendering their humanity to get something above humanity. It's always I love it because of the concept, but I hate it because I have like a I don't know to call it a lingering feeling of disassociation or I don't even know how to call that feeling. Like the first time that I watched, for example, Ghost in the Shell, kind of alluding to the whole cyberpunk deal,
yeah.
I ended up watching this movie and I guess spoilers. You think Ghost in the Shell, right?
I've seen the movie. I think I've only seen it once, and I saw it years ago, and I had absolutely no idea what the hell was happening. So
Okay, so when Makoto Sarova is trying to open the top of the tank that she's fighting at the end,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
kind of see she ripping up through her arms and all that very visceral scene, just to get the opportunity to be actually be able to defeat the tank. Either I was very young at that time when I was watching that movie, or how what I was experiencing. Like you're seeing quote unquote a person, but they've been telling you that they're not a person all this time. But then you find out that they're actually a person inside of all the machine. And it's like the whole man against the machine, or the man becoming part of the machine, and
right.
that whole notion of sci-fi genre. I find it very appealing, but also very. It's like a fear, but you know how when you are getting exposed to something that you're afraid of, you kind of there's something appealing about it. Like you mentioned, like the horror genre, for
Yeah,
example.
that fits it perfectly with the horror genre. That's yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's based on that kind of concept.
So yeah, so it's just watching that deteriorating civilization or expression of humanity in a possibility, not that it's gonna happen, or we might be living through it. Ooh.
Maybe you never know.
But it's just so a feeling that it kind of scratches an itch, but also, oh man, I love it, but I hate it. I love it, but I hate it.
Yeah,
It's the only word that I have for the series and the whole genre of dystopian future.
yeah. No, I get it. Well, I mean, Fist of the North Star is also based off of that dystopian future as well,
Yep.
but not as much. There's not really the cyberpunk aspect to it, but based off of the It's more Mad Max-ish, if that makes sense. But yeah, no doubt that Cyberpunk does sound kind of interesting, and I do like Studio Trigger, so might have to check that out, especially if it won't if I do want to play the game in the future. It doesn't quote unquote ruin the game
No,
story or
not at all.
yeah.
No, for me, it would enhance it even because obviously you will see a series, and if you whatever in the future decide to try the game, it's like, oh, I remember that place, but it just so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
because you're put in a setting, not so much as in the story is being spoiled for you.
Yeah, exactly. It, and that's one of the things that's going to be, I think, different when it comes to like the Last of Us TV series. It's going to be very much, from my understanding, it's going to be very much the game story. I think there's going to be a lot of different aspects that they're going to explore that they didn't explore in the game, because obviously it's just a straight story, whereas the game you have to introduce gameplay aspects and different you're still playing a video game, right? So I do think that the TV series will completely spoil the game for if somebody wanted to go back and play it. Now I could be totally wrong, and it could enhance it,
I mean,
but
to be honest with you, I think I know things from the game, not because I've looked for them, because if these sort of things that you're watching the news and watching someone and they make an allusion to something, and
sure.
obviously you're not dumb and you put pieces together and you can kind of know and don't know.
Yeah,
So I, not that that's dissuading. Let's make this clear. That's not dissuading me from not playing the game. Obviously, that's not it because again,
right.
I play games over and over again. But man, that's also a sort of in a future that everything's gone to chaos sort of a deal. No,
Yeah, I mean, you could say it's a
zombie.
zombie
Yeah,
story,
yeah,
even though they're not your typical zombies. It's based off of like a fungus. It's actually a
yeah.
real fungus. Yeah, so
That's funny because they actually base that of a fungus that exists and how it would behave, and that's the scary part about it.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, and I think it's pretty damn realistic as far as how they showed everything, as far as what went down, how it went down, and whatnot. But yeah, well, maybe one of these days you'll be in the mood, and you'll give it a shot.
Man, we went from talking about natural disaster to wars to
Yeah, yeah,
dystopian futures on games. Yeah, I guess
yeah.
that.
What's today's topic?
Uh, how humanity destroys itself through video games and wars and natural disaster. I don't know, man.
There we go. That works.
We'll
That
figure
works.
something out. I guess you guys will
There we
see.
go.
You guys will see the title after we finish
Yeah,
recording, I guess.
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Well, I mean, we really didn't have anything specific to talk about today, but we wanted to try just kind of like an open mic session, and see how it went. See if people enjoy and wanted to make some comments,
Or not.
or not have to make comments, but people, if you guys haven't checked it out yet, you can see it on our Podbean website, but we have a link to a Reddit community. So if we wanted to post about this episode or any of the other episodes in there, feel free. Both Alan and I are on there as well. We can interact with you guys, and if you want to let us know your opinions and have any questions for us, then feel free.
Yeah, definitely. We would like to hear other ideas and see how we can share with each other and what we think about them.
Exactly. That's what we're about. We make it as entertaining for people as we can, but we also are always open to new ideas. What we want to know, what you guys want to talk about, what you want us to talk about, and what you agree and disagree with. Got anything else, my friend?
And do you remember from last week when we were talking about what was the computer model that was most sold?
I do. I remember that. That was a good question. I did some thinking myself, and we did a little bit of talking, I think, offline, and you told me the answer, and I was actually a little bit surprised by the answer. It wasn't what I was thinking. Um, My answer was Apple, but that's obviously very generic because there's multiple Apple models of PC, Mac and Apple. What was it, Apple two, Apple IIe, and all that other good stuff. So that was my shot at it. Now I thought I had it, but you came back and told me nope, I was wrong. Yeah,
Uh,
so
yeah, and you just hit the nail on the head on that regard because nowadays it's hard for any system to sort of achieve those numbers.
yep,
Just because of that, because there are so many different systems, it's kind of a hard for one
it
particular model to be able to be sold en masse to that level.
exactly. And
Uh,
when you said the answer, that's why it made so much perfect sense. Because even if you talk about a specific brand, you're still talking about there really isn't a model per se nowadays of PC. Each manufacturer has their own, line of models,
Yeah, you,
but
you
the
got you
internals
got
are
you
always
got
yeah,
you got something like Dell. They got the Octiplex, but within the Octiplex, they have got the 360, the 520, and
right,
so on and so
right.
forth.
But
And
all those are variations of the internal components of what you could just literally build yourself, anyways.
you could say that. Oh, so we don't keep getting ahead of ourselves. The answer to our
Yeah,
question is,
we need the answer. The people want to know.
according to the Guinness Book of World Records, it was the Commodore 64, selling about 30 million units between 1982 and 1993.
That is makes total sense when you think about it. And the funny part is, I had a Commodore 64C, so but not the original Commodore 64.
Yeah, the C64, and it's funny because uh, the whole deal with having a standard system versus the variety now, obviously, is given the offering. Obviously, that would be in accordance to the companies and the homeowners being able to get a computer more cheaply. I don't think a lot of people had like a Commodore just sitting on their living room waiting for them to go and type something, or play some game. Like, well,
Right, right. Well, I still remember it was funny that each game had its own kind of unique way to launch it. Some you had to run this command, others you had to do this, and some were on floppy. They had the CD-ROM attachment as well, and it was definitely a pretty cool experience.
so yeah, there you have it.
That's it. I think might even lead a little bit into our next topic of discussion.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. So you wonder what's our next topic of discussion.
Guess we'll wrap up today's episode then of a mix of a lot of different things. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it, and again, leave your comments. Let us know what you think. If you have any other ideas, feel free to let us know.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
Sounds good. All right, everybody, take care. Alan, you take care. We'll catch up with you next time.
Later.
Bye.